Welcome to a new guide on this channel, and this one is the Bettermaker EQ232D. So this is not a review, it's a deep dive about this plugin. Now, everything is going to be in tiny chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Alright, so the EQ232 is a Pultec-ish style of EQ. So sometimes you want to use a Pultec because it gives you that big of angle saturation, or because it can give you those very specific curves by boosting and attenuating. So if you are wondering why there's no Pultec on plugin lines, this is kind of a version of that. Now, this is a pretty clean EQ. It will not give you saturation. It will not saturate. It will not give you harmonic distortion. It's a pretty clean EQ, but it gives you those curves. Alright, so as always, first we're going to learn how the controls work and how it works and how it looks. This is what I like to do. I like to give you a more visual representation so we can learn all the controls and then do something with audio. So you have three main sections. You have this one, which is the high pass filter, then the EQ, and then the PEQ. So this is the high pass, this is the EQ1 and 2 in, and this one is the PEQ. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Right here, this is going to be the on and off switch. Pretty obvious. Right here, you will get the high pass. High pass is just high pass. So as soon as you move one knob, this is just going to turn it on. Now, of course, you can go right here and manually turn them all in. In this case, you can turn it off and back on. But this one, what it will do, it will just cut low frequencies. Pretty simple. It's a high pass filter. So it's going to go from 18 to 200 hertz. And is again pretty clean, just a pretty clean. Just gonna give you that. Okay, so there's not much to explain right here. You're just cutting low frequencies. So we're gonna move on to the EQ1 and the EQ2 in. So right here you have a level and you have the frequency and you have the Q, right? So for example, in this case, I'm just gonna go up in level and we're gonna see it growing. So you can go to -15 or to go to +15, pretty simple. And right here, you're going to need to select the frequency where you're going to be working with. And this can go from 45 hertz to all the way to 1K. So you have two EQs and they both target different frequencies. So, all right. Pretty easy. You can even maybe do some cutting right here and go right there at the lows and do a little bit of boosting right there. Now remember then when you're cutting right here, it will affect this EQ too, because if you cut, notice that the boost is going to go down. So all the different controls right here, all the different curves, they're going to be affected. They're going to affect the other curves if you go too much. So you need to be aware of that. So pretty simple. You can boost and you can target the different frequencies. Of course, since this is a bell EQ, right here, you need to select your Q. So you can go very narrow, and I'm going to do a little bit of boost from 1/5 of an octave to all the way to 3. So it's going to be narrow or wide. And of course, this is very useful because if right here, you're going to be cutting right here, maybe you want to cut a little bit of something, maybe, the boxiness or something like that. So you can just do it in a more elegant way. Now, maybe you're wondering, okay, so if I'm doing this, I'm cutting on this one, how am I boosting if I want to boost the lows? Well, this is going to be this section. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But in this case, this is just going to be a very clean bell EQ for these frequencies. So then you have the EQ2, and the EQ2 works the same way. Now, of course, you handle different values. You can go from 600, maybe let me do a boost right here, very low, and then you can go all the way to 15K. And the same thing, the same thing you get on this one, you can use it as a shelf EQ. You can just going to be boosting, and you can make it wider. And you're just going to be, doing shelf right there. So you can even use it for this. So this again works the same way. You just target whatever frequency you wish, and then you just can boost, and you can you can cut whatever it is that you want. Now all these controls, the high pass and everything, again, remember that they are very reactive to each other. If you go to the other frequencies, they're going to be kind of working together right there, for example. So, okay, so let me go back to reset. Now, these ones are pretty easy to understand. Now, right here, we have the PEQ in, and this is like the start of the show. So in this section, you have a low section and a high frequency. And notice it says low frequency and high frequency. So the low frequency, and this is the Pultec kind of a section. So you can boost low frequencies, pretty simple. So what you get is a shelf, right? Boost, pretty easy. Now, right here, you can see that says CPS. So this one stands for cycles per second. Now, this belongs to the boost of the low frequency. Now, of course, since you're boosting, this one will decide when you're starting to boost. So if you go to 20, it's going to start boost on 20. Notice that the breakpoint is going to be right there, maybe right there. If you go up, it's going to be 30, if not 60, if not 100. So pretty much you're just kind of moving up and down, where you're boosting. Now, of course, since this one, it works like, that Pultec kind of a thing, the attenuate is going to be very important for us. I'm going to leave this one 60 maybe. And I'm going to be going right here up on this one. And notice that it's creating that, tiny dip that we love so much from Pultec. And of course, as you attenuate, it's going to go down on the boost. You need to remember this, right? So pretty simple. Of course, you can go and change this, maybe do something like that. And remember that all the curves are very reactive. So if you do a high pass filter, it's just going to affect that boost that you are doing, of course. So maybe do something like that. I'm going to be attenuating something like that, and maybe boosting, maybe go higher, and then you have a nice curve. Right, so pretty easy to understand. So this is the low section. Then you have all of this, and all of this is going to belong to the high frequencies. Right, so I'm going to go back to reset. Okay, so on the high frequencies, again, you can boost, and it's pretty simple. It's just going to be a boost on the high frequencies. Now, of course, at some point, you need to decide where you want to be boosting. So this one is going to be this section and this section. So right here, it says KCS. So this is kilocycles per second. So this one will pretty much decide where you start boosting, just like we do with the CPS for the lows. So if I boost something like that, maybe, and I move this around, notice that, of course, it's going to start boosting right there. And if I go lower, lower, and lower, it's going to start on the 3K right here. So, of course, now we are getting more of a bell. But, of course, it's just a lot more aggressive. All right, so pretty much, pretty simple. Now, of course, if you want to do this, maybe doing something like that or maybe something like that, it's just going to be a bit more useful. Now, then you have the attenuation, the attenuate for the high frequencies. This works pretty much the same way, but on a different way. And, I'm going to go maybe do a boost and just start doing it. And notice what is going on. It's pretty much kind of attenuating from or cutting the high frequencies. It's just going to get everything down. Even though I'm boosting a lot, if I do this, notice that it's just going and cutting and just lowering the boost. This is what this section does. Now, this section goes hand in hand with the KCS attenuation select. So if you go right here, it's going to do 20. You're starting right here and starting to attenuate on the 20. But if you go lower, notice that now we are getting a little bit more of what we get on the low section. We get a tiny dip because we are starting earlier. And then, of course, we get the boost because we are doing a boost right here. Now, if I do no boost, it's gonna look something like this. And I'm, of course, doing a lot right here, just trying to be obvious. So if I go to the tens, it's gonna just look more like a low pass, right? But if I go to 5, it's gonna give you that dip. And if you boost, it's going to give you, that vibe, the one we are looking for. There we go. This is maybe a little bit too much. So right here, you have the bandwidth. So the bandwidth works for the high frequencies. So if you go sharp, of course, it's going to make it really sharp. But as you go broad, it's just going to attenuate or just go down in boost. And it's just going to smooth whatever it is that you're doing right here. All right, so I'm going to go back to reset. Now, again, with this one, all the different bands, different controls are very reactive and they kind of interact with each other. So let's say that maybe I want to do some cutting, right? And I'm going to just go and do something like that. Why not? So then maybe I want to do a little bit of that Pultec EQ. So I'm going to be boosting something like that. I'm going to maybe keep on the 20s, something like that. And I want that, tiny dip that we get right there. And I'm just going to go right there. I'm going to boost right here a little bit of the highs. So I'm going to go to 16 and I'm going to boost a little bit of the highs. Now, of course, I want to do a little bit of attenuation. and notice that it's going to go down, of course. And right here, you need to pay attention to this one because maybe I just want to start in 5 or maybe I can start in 20. And notice that again, this one will affect how that peak is going to, how the boost is going to work. So maybe I'm just going to leave it right there. Now remember that this one's also give you something. So if I want to kind of cut some of the frequencies, I can make this very kind of narrow and just trying to select the spot where I want to cut. Maybe I want to cut something right there. And this is just going to, again, do the trick. You notice that we are starting to get some pretty cool curves. Maybe I want to target some of that, some of maybe here, and just do a little bit of boosting and just, target whatever it is that we want. And once we get it, then of course make it a little bit wider and just get a nice boost right there. So pretty cool curves. Now, of course, this one is going to really shine when we put it on a track and we see how it sounds. So, okay, so one more thing that you need to know is that you can work, notice that you have some options right here. By default, when you throw the plugin in a stereo, it's going to be something like this. You have a stereo track. You have the left and you have the side and the right. Now, one more thing that you need to know is that when you are selecting a value, it's just not going to show you right here what you're doing. When you, of course, doing something, it's going to tell you. But as soon as you hover out, go out with the mouse, it's just going to go off. Yeah, it's just going to hide the value. So if you want to know how much you're doing on each knob, just hovering over that knob is just going to tell you for a second right there how much you're doing, right, in terms of values. Now with the plugin, with this one, you can work on with left or right. Right now I'm in a stereo track. So what we can do, we can unlink the left and the right, and we can of course shift. We can shift the left from the right with the EQ and work in left and right mode. Another thing that you can do for now, I'm just gonna link them, and I'm gonna go to MS. So you can work with mid and you can work with side. So maybe you're going to be, I don't know, maybe not boosting the sides. So you're just going to go all the way down. And notice that right now it's just going all the way down because I'm linking. So maybe I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to unlink. And now, of course, they are independent. So this one, of course, is going to be not boosting the side section, but this one is going to keep. Now, it's going to keep, of course, the boost. Now, notice it says MS, M to S or S to M. And this is because we are on MS mode. If I disable this, we are back to left and, just go right here, to left and right stereo. Now it says L to R and R to L. So maybe you're thinking, okay, so this is swapping, swapping the sections. Well, not really. This one, what we'll do, it will just copy and paste. So if right now I'm just going to be maybe unlink, they are unlinked. So notice that I have a boost on the left and I don't have that boost on the right. Maybe I don't like this. So what I want to do, I want to copy everything I have from here and I want to paste it on the right. So this is what this is. It's going to link, copy the left to the right. So if I do this, it's just going to, copy and paste. So you don't have to do it manually, of course. Okay, so I got a track right here. I'm doing this with headphones. I don't know how this is going to work. You shouldn't mix it with the headphones, or at least the headphones I'm using, they are not very good for mixing. They're very good for listening to music, but not for mixing. So this is a track that was already mixed. It's a kind of the free tracks that you get on YouTube. And of course, I'm using this because I'm not going to get a strike or a copyright, block or anything like that. So this is how the track sounds. It's a pretty dull track, if you ask me, but it's cool, for a background. Now, of course, right now the plugin is on. If I turn it off, pretty much the same, so it's pretty clean. Okay, so let's just, see what we can do. So again, I'm gonna go to this section. Maybe I would like to get a little bit more of the lows. As soon as I do something, notice how it sounds. Just gonna give us a boom. Of course, this is maybe too much. I'm gonna be attenuating. Just gonna, of course, maybe leave it right there. I'm gonna stay on the 30s. If I go up, it's just gonna start right here, right here. But I'm gonna leave it maybe right there. Now I'm gonna be attenuating. So this is gonna create the low end that it's adding. Sounds cool. And remember that if we we do the high pass, you're gonna be kind of lowering this boost by a lot. And I want to do this because this is maybe too much, so I'm gonna. There we go. So we don't have to use it. I think this sounds cool, like it sounds, but maybe I can go maybe to 10 right here, and we can boost a little bit of the highs. And listen to the hi-hats. Maybe a little bit of this. All right, sounds cool. Now right now I'm working on left and right. Of course, it's going to be the same because we are link. So in this case, I'm just going to keep it like this. It's just going to be a little bit easier. Oh, what happened there? There we go. Off. Sounds a little bit, flat. Just a little bit better, if you ask me. Okay, so we can use this section if you wanted to. I'm going to use it. I'm going to maybe just kind of dip a little bit of that, maybe 300-400-ish. I'm just going to make it a little bit narrow, maybe something like that. And of course, if we cut too much, or we boost too much, we can hear that, the boxiness. So I just want to get rid of this just a little bit. And if I turn it off, just a little bit better. Now it's of course a little bit too boomy. Remember, I'm doing this with headphones, so now my headphones sounds cool. Much better than the original one. Now you don't have to use this one, but just I'm just gonna go and do it. I'm gonna go maybe to the 3K-ish, maybe maybe there. Gonna go over there and just boost it. And this is just gonna give us that snap. Of course, it's too much. It's gonna get a little bit. Of course, maybe now it's just way too much, but fine. That's fine. Now, of course, we're going up. So right here you have your output. Just to trim it down a little bit, just get closer to the original level. A little bit better, right? In my opinion, just opens up a little bit more, get a little bit more of the highs and lows. Right, so there you go. It's a pretty simple EQ to use. And this is because, of course, we discussed and we saw how the curves work before starting, doing something. And then again, this is the vibe of this channel. First, we learn the controls. We have a visual representation of how they work. And then once we know what they can do, then we go and do it because we know what they do. So we know how to predict what they are going to do. So, maybe you like this style, maybe you don't, but, this is the vibe of this channel. All right, so that's it. That's the whole plugin. It's a pretty simple one, but it can, really give you that boost that you're looking for, that low end that you're looking for. And it's really great. Now, okay, so remember, if you learned something or you got something out of this video, remember to like and then maybe subscribe if you want. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you can. You can go at the link. You can go at the description, and you have links for PayPal. You have the YouTube thanks right now, and you have Patreon. If you can join Patreon. Of course, only if you can afford it. If you cannot, don't worry about it. This is not why I do all of this. All right, so see you on the next one.